we're gonna check in and see where we're at. Ooh. So I have tried hundreds of air fryer recipes over the years with a ton of success, but there have been a few that I have historically just avoided. Things that I have seen on the internet done many times by other people, but for me, they just didn't feel super compatible with air fryer technology. But I will say that air fryers have come a long way and the technology has improved a lot over the years. And today I'm gonna take 5 of those foods that I've always avoided and put them to the test to see if they can coexist in the air fryer world. All right, so up first is something I've been avoiding like the plague for many years, which is the blooming onion. The thing popularized by Outback Steakhouse that is normally deep fried, delicious, and served with a creamy sauce. To me, this dish just didn't feel compatible with the air fryer, but I have seen so many people air fry it over the years with what seems like pretty good success. So today's the day I'm finally gonna try this. We are air frying a blooming onion. So I've been saving a few of the biggest onions from my recent onion harvest, specifically because I knew I was making this bloomin' onion. And what I'll do to prep the onion is I'll slice off the stem end, making sure to leave the root end fully intact, which will hold everything together. Then I'll make a gentle slice down the exterior to remove a layer of skin, and I'll start slicing about a 1/4 inch apart, straight through the onion, making sure to not cut completely through that center root end. And the onion will slowly start to bloom open, and I just needed to perform a little bit of surgery here and there to make sure all of those petals were fully open. And one thing I've learned is you just can't do the traditional buttermilk, flour, dredge style breading in the air fryer. It just never comes out well. So I'm going with the traditional 3-part breading where you first go in with flour to cover that onion completely, which helps the eggs stick on, which I'll work into all of those crevices. And then finally we go into the breadcrumbs, and I'll just work that in until every petal is as coated as best as I can. All right, this is the final product. It looks all right. It's not so easy to do, but we're here. And it's going in the air fryer. Fits in really nicely. So I'm gonna spray this down with oil, give it a really good spray. And I'm gonna use my air fryer spidey senses. I don't know what temperature is best, but start with 385, 10 minutes. I don't wanna burn things, and we'll check back in. While that's cooking, let me explain something very delicious, which is this sauce that I made to go with the blooming onion. So I have so many jalapenos in the garden right now, so I picked a bunch and I pickled them. And I'll use these spicy pickles to make a jalapeno cream sauce by adding them to a food processor, along with some basil, which is abundant in the garden, and 1 clove of garlic. Then I'll add a few scoops of sour cream, and I'll just pulse that together until everything is pretty smooth. I'll pour that into a bowl, add some more of the pickle brine to up the acidity level, and I'll add a few scoops of mayo and a little bit of salt, and the mayo is just gonna thicken everything up and give you the perfect consistency for a nice creamy jalapeno sauce. All right, quick check-in at 10 minutes. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're definitely browning. Onions cooking. I'm fine just staying at that same temp and just going like 6 more minutes, 7 more minutes. Let's do that. All right, here we go. Whoa, pretty golden brown. I think we should pull it. So obviously the look on this, it does not compare to a deep fried blooming onion from Outback Steakhouse. Whereas you can make a chicken finger like I've shown you before in the air fryer that looks just like a deep fried chicken finger. But it's all about the taste. So let's see, how do I even get into this? The breading in general is not that even. It's not an easy thing to pull off. Wasn't great. I mean, it's fun. It's not bad. It's clearly a lot lighter than deep frying a full blooming onion. I'm slowly getting more into it, but if you gave me 1 bite, first impression, it's okay. It doesn't compare to a deep fried blooming onion. So I'm like slowly crushing this thing, but with the difficulty in making it, it's not something I will be making often. All right, can you guess what this little chunk of meat is right here? This is a chunk of pork belly, which is something that I've seen air fried for like 7 years now, since I started air frying things. And it always seemed kind of ridiculous to me, which is why I never did it. But I will say with the evolution of air fryer technology, I think it makes a lot more sense nowadays. And honestly, the hardest part about this recipe is just hunting down the actual product. You gotta get a piece of pork belly with the skin on if you want that nice crispy crackling skin. And traditionally in Chinese recipes, you see 5-spice being used to season up the pork belly. I just made this garam masala from scratch for the last video, which has a lot of crossover to 5-spice. So I'll just season up the meat side and sprinkle on a little bit of salt, and then I'll turn it over, and you probably don't have one of these to puncture the skin. So a really easy hack is just taking a bunch of skewers and pricking a bunch of little holes, which is gonna help that skin puff up. And then I'll season this side with just salt. And I'm making these little tin foil holders here, which leaves the skin exposed so it can dry out in the fridge. But when we cook these pieces of pork belly, they're gonna release so much fat and so much juice, which will now be captured. So the pork belly can almost cook confit style in its own juices and fat. And I'll just throw these pieces of pork belly in the fridge overnight so that skin really starts to dry out and that seasoning starts to infuse. So around 7 or 8 years ago, my brother and I were actually featured on a Bon Appetit YouTube video with a chef named Scott Scottese, who specialized in Chinese cooking, and he made a pork belly recipe very similar to this and served it with this incredible ginger scallion oil.
I don't even know what's happening right now.
So I'm gonna copy his technique here, and I have some onions growing in the garden. I'm just gonna cut off some of the green onion tops, bring those inside, chop them up super fine, and then I'll peel some ginger, and I'm just gonna grate that right into a bowl to make things super easy. I'll pop the green onion on top of that and then pour on some hot oil and just let that sizzle and infuse, and you've got a perfect little pork belly condiment. And this right here is what we are left with. So you can see that skin is completely dried out. Nice spice action on the side. All right, so we're just gonna go 375, 30 minutes on air fry setting, and we'll let that go. All right, so 30 minutes is just about up. We're gonna check in and see where we're at. Wow, so, I mean, that looks pretty damn good. Let me get a temp read on that. Yeah, 142. We gotta go a little longer, which I expected. So let's go back in, same temp, and we'll go for 15 more minutes. All right, here we go. I mean, the skin looks perfect. See all that fat captured? It's basically frying the bottom side, which is pretty damn cool. I think that is ready to go. Yeah, pretty crispy on the bottom there. Nice skin bubbling on the top. Whoa, oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the inside right there. Juicing. Funny that you're adding like a fatty condiment to such a fatty piece of meat already. On paper, that doesn't make sense. All right, here we go. Pork belly in the air fryer.
Salt levels are great, not too salty.
It is a lot of grease here. Still has a little bit of chew to it. Pretty damn tender at the same time. That's a great pork belly. Super viable option for a home cook. So have you seen these corn ribs going around the internet? It's always something that I thought was maybe a little gimmicky, but we are right in the middle of sweet corn season over here in New York. And I saw the corn and I figured, why not give it a try? Now I think the original way to make these things is actually fry them up, but I have seen them done in the air fryer a lot, to the point where there's gotta be something to it. And this is a really, really, really simple recipe. So this is fresh sweet corn. I'm gonna chop off the end here and then the front tip. Now we can stand this up like that, and I'm gonna go down the center, and then I'll turn it over and I'll slice that. So we get quarters. Yeah, perfect quarters like that, like a little handheld rib. Just gonna take out this bacon tray, pop these in there, and I'll spray them with some neutral oil. And then to give them more of a barbecue flavor, I'm just gonna sprinkle on some barbecue seasoning, or make your own spice mix. Doesn't really matter. And they're a little dry now, so I'll just hit them with a little more oil. Ready for the air fryer. I'm gonna bring these over to my Kosori Light, load in a few. 1, 2, we'll just go with 3 to start. Pop them in. I definitely want to hit these with high heat, so let's go 400, 12 minutes. We'll start there. Let's see what's going on. Oh, nice. So they're starting to curl up. I think they could be cooked a little longer. I'm gonna stay at 400, 5 more minutes. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah. I was trying to get a little bit more crispiness on there, and those kernels are like almost popping. That's pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna try 3 things right now. We're gonna go plain jalapeno sauce that I made earlier and barbecue. Plain corn rib, first taste. A little addicting. I like that. The texture is unbelievable. It's almost a little dried out, but super crunchy. That's awesome. Moving on, little jalapeno sauce on there. Whoop. Wow, that's unreal. The creaminess along with the spice gives it that Mexican corn experience. I figured that would work well. All right, other side. So this would be the true rib where you have the seasoning and then coated in barbecue sauce. Here we go. Those are both great. Really nice. This exceeded my expectations by a lot. I didn't think the texture would be so unique. I'm trying to think how I'd serve these, and the first thing that comes to mind is just like a really nice appetizer if you're having a barbecue. I think you could really impress your guests by starting to show off with these. All right, not a gimmick at all. Corn ribs in the air fryer for the win. So one air fryer recipe that was always an immediate passover for me were donuts. I'm talking about the yeast risen, fluffy, Krispy Kreme style donut. Although I've seen many people cook them in the air fryer with what looks like decent results, for me it just always felt wrong to not actually deep fry them in oil. But today I'm gonna challenge my own beliefs and give it a shot and see what happens. And of course, we've got to start off with making a dough from scratch. And I snatched this recipe from the Brown Eye Baker, which I've linked below, and it's just a copycat Krispy Kreme style yeasted donut recipe. It's got flour, it's got sugar, a few eggs, a little bit of yeast, some vanilla, and water. And those ingredients get mixed together for about 5 minutes until they become a nice dough. And then just like making bread, since it's a yeasted dough, I'll take that out on the counter, give it a few kneads, a few folds, and I'll put that in a container and let it double in size, which is what I have right here. This, of course, is the first proof, and we are ready now to form our donuts. So I floured up the surface and I rolled out the dough flat to right in between, I would say 1/4 and 1/2 inch thick. And then I took these little cutouts, I cut out the big circles, and then of course cut out the donut holes, which I'll save to actually test the temperatures in the air fryer. And I'll let these proof for about another hour or 2 until they gain a little bit more air. And that's what I have right here. They've just puffed up a tiny bit. I already tested the temperature settings with the little donut holes, so I should be tuned in. I'm gonna take my dual blaze, which has the bottom and the top heater, so I don't have to flip the donuts. I'll spray the bottom, and I think I can get 4 of those. Yeah, this thing's a beast. Look at that. Spray the top. What I'm gonna do is 370. We'll try 6 and we'll check it. Now, of course, if we're making a Krispy Kreme style donut, we need a glaze. And this one is super simple. It's just powdered sugar, a little bit of vanilla, and then I'll just start whisking in some milk until I get the right consistency. And this should be perfect. Let's check in real quick. Oh, it's looking pretty good. I think I'll just add 1 more minute. Should be good. All right, nice. It's a pretty even brown. Like, it doesn't look like they're fried. They're certainly baked, but I'm all right with that. So when they are nice and hot, I'm going right into this glaze. Glazy. And I'm gonna hit 2 of them with sprinkles just to see what happens. My daughters are gonna absolutely lose it. I don't think they've ever had a Krispy Kreme style donut like this. And I mean, aesthetically, comment in with what you think. It doesn't look 100% like a fried donut, but it's not that far off. It comes down to taste. I will say, I think I could have let them rise another 30 minutes. Still fluffy, just could be slightly more proofed. I think I might prefer that to deep fried, less naughty. So you're trading a slightly more dry product for something that's a little bit lighter. There is, of course, a trade-off in this game. All right, I've got to stop before I eat all of these donuts. Those are good. Okay, finally, we are frying up these things right here, rice paper wrappers, air frying. Now, most people have consumed these in their fresh form, like a fresh summer roll that you would see all over Southeast Asia. That's the popular way to consume these. But I remember actually when I was in Vietnam like 15 years ago, they would wrap up ingredients and then actually fry the rice paper, which makes sense. Rice does fry up pretty well. And I have seen people do this in the air fryer, but I was always a a little bit skeptical. So we're gonna try it today and see what happens. And for the filling, I'm taking a trip out to the garden to pick really anything I can get my hands on. So I've got a bunch of different varieties of bok choy and pak choy. I'm gonna pick a few of those. And then I have some of these nice fresh green peppers as well. And I'm gonna start off by slicing some onion and some of those green peppers. And then I washed all of that bok choy, and I'll just slice it up super rough so it wilts a little bit easier. And to bulk this filling up a bit, I actually smoked some pork ribs the other day, and I had a few left over. So I'm just gonna slice any meat off the bone and then just chop the meat up into small pieces. And this is gonna be a cooked filling, so I'm gonna stir fry everything. So I'll take out my wok, add a little bit of oil, throw in those onions and peppers and get some nice color on those. Then I'll go in with all that rib meat, cook that for a few more minutes, and then I will toss in all of the bok choy, add a little bit of water and a lid on that just so it starts to wilt, and then I can really get some stir fry action. And to season this up, I'm just going with a little bit of soy sauce, some black vinegar, and I have some fermented garlic honey, but you can just use regular honey as well. And I'll just cook this mixture down until all of that excess liquid has evaporated, making sure that these spring rolls aren't soggy. And then to fill them, I will give my rice papers a quick dip in water and then just use my best technique to roll them up into little spring rolls. Alright, so I've got my Kosori Light here. I'm just gonna do 3, and we'll definitely give them a good spray and turn them and spray them again. I really wanna hit them with some high heat. I'm gonna do 420. We'll start with 5 minutes. Alright, let's see 5 minutes. Oh, ooh, we're crisping up. Okay, well, I'm gonna flip them. Yeah, they're soggy on the underside. Let's go another 4 minutes. Alright, let's pull them. Ooh, oh, interesting. Oh boy. Okay, so they're starting to burst. You know, I actually thought about adding another rice paper, double wrapping them, but we'll give these a sample. I feel like I passed on these initially because they looked a little soggy from the videos that I saw, and they are a little bit soggy, almost falling apart right now, but you know I'm dipping them in that jalapeno sauce. Hot. They're not easy to eat, I'll say that. They're pretty delicate if you're gonna eat them hot. The rice paper has more of a chewy texture than a crispy texture, like a normal spring roll. And I don't mind the chew. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. Don't expect to use these and get a crispy spring roll experience. It's totally different. But once you get that out of your mind, it's really nice. I like that chewiness a lot. I don't know if it's something I would do often, but it's definitely not a fail. So there you go. A lot of fun experiments today. I've got a new outlook on a lot of these meals that I originally passed up. If you're interested in a new air fryer, make sure you check out our Kosori collection at prohomecooks.com and check out this video if you want more air fryer recipes.